Hi, my name is Micah Hennon. I'm a career coach here at Shinebright Career Coaching. We created this channel to help our community know more of the ins and outs of the job search, to find inspiring ways to stay motivated during any career pivot or starting a new business, and just to share information and best practices that can make your job search feel less lonely. Today I want to talk to you a little bit about what it feels like when you lose your job. Sometimes we are laid off or our position's eliminated or we've even been fired. And our first go-to is actually to just feel really bad. I mean, that's human nature. And so today I wanted to talk to you about flipping that coin, about thinking how this job loss could actually be to my benefit and why losing a job can sometimes be a good thing for you. In this video, I'm going to cover why you will gain more time, possibly more money, more clarity, and end up feeling stronger and more confident than ever after you figure out where the next step is after the job loss. So stick with me, we'll cover those topics. But first I want to get back to how it feels when you actually are immediately laid off. So I know that it's hard to keep a positive mindset when you're actually feeling like losing your job is stressful, you're wondering where the money's going to come from, and perhaps your benefits were attached to that. So the first thing to do is to just really take some time to disconnect from that role. Change your LinkedIn, close that email, come home and just spend some time with your family doing some things you love, like reading, walking, anything that feels really naturally actually replenishing to you. But after that, that's the time I want you to start trying to flip the switch on the job loss. It is actually a gift in many cases because we are so often rushed and pulled in so many different directions. So we don't have time to focus our energies. We don't have time to actually really spend building a mastery in things that we love, whether that's a hobby or a potential next role. So I want you to really think about, have you the time in your adult life to have spent time reflecting on what's happening and what you really want to do? Well, after a job loss, this time is given to you. It's a gift, and people don't take advantage of it. What I hear from my clients so often is that they are just on the mad dash to the next job role. They're on LinkedIn, they're furiously applying, and they're not getting any results, and they're feeling really, really frustrated. Well, that's because, again, we need that replenishment time directly after losing a job, but then we also need to get to know ourselves again, and that is meaning to actually kind of have a reset, right? So think about the things we like to do. Spending time reflecting on what happened in that last role and actually saying goodbye to it, letting it go. And of course, spending time with loved ones. If you are able to spend more time dropping your kids off at school or visiting friends that don't live near, do it. Now's the time. As I said before, being an adult in America doesn't mean having 6-week vacations where we get to do all of those things. The periods we have between different roles and different jobs sometimes are our only moments of freedom where we don't have those external draws that are pulling on us. So rather than spending time really just focusing on the loss, focus on the replenished time and take advantage of it and be intentional about it. Because it's easy to let the bad feelings creep in, but when you have a plan and you're thinking, okay, 2 weeks before I start my job search, I'm gonna dig in and I'm gonna take my daughter to school every day and I'm gonna pick her up every day because I don't get to do that during my busy life when I will have a job again. That's the other thing. You will have a job again. You might have a different job. You might even make a career pivot or start your own company. Those things are all out there. But it's really hard to feel motivated when we feel like we will never have a job again. So always keep that North Star right here. I will have a job again. I will find my better place and I will appreciate it. The next thing is actually touching on that. A lot of clients tell me that after they take that time to reflect, replenish, and refresh from that last job, then they're in this really, really fertile ground where they can actually start considering going a different path. Maybe they've always wanted to be in marketing versus sales, or maybe they've always wanted to start their own consultancy, but haven't had the time or the bandwidth to even give the thought real consideration. And again, that's where this space between your last job and your next job is so incredible. You're actually given that time to explore ideas, to think about what you really want to do, and to even talk it over with your family, with your friends, with people who might be in those types of roles, and to really marinate in the possibilities. And sometimes that includes going back to school. Maybe that always felt really out of reach, but now you have the time to think about what the steps are to go back to school and what the outcome would be. So if you're thinking about getting a teaching credential, does it make sense for you to do that financially, to invest 2 years into getting the credential? Will you make that money back in your next role? And will you have peace of mind because you're doing something you love? Possibly. But the answer is really in taking the time to think about it, investigate, and to have the bandwidth in your energy levels to actually spend that time taking stock of what's most important to you and how that next job or higher education could contribute to a better future for you. And again, it's about having that capacity. So sometimes we don't even notice how bogged down we are in our roles. It's like Groundhog's Day, right? So we often just get up, get the kids out the door, get ourselves out the door on a commuter train. Sometimes it's hybrid, so we're rushing to our desk after a busy morning, and we don't even really have time to notice how much energy that is sucking up. And then in the afternoon, it's maybe trying to rush to the gym to fit that in before seeing friends, or going to pick your kid up at a sporting event. And it's this mad dash. So there's never this time to consider how does it feel and react, but also to really notice that my capacity isn't there to think or make a change. So when you are laid off from a job, or when your role is eliminated, you're given that time. Sometimes you're even given, hopefully, a severance check or a couple months of salary and benefits. And guess what? It's a soft landing, and it's also one that only feels soft if you take advantage of the time to make sense of what happened and where you want to go before you dive into the next step. So realizing that this time and space actually gives you the capacity to make the right choice is really important to grasp onto and hold on to. And here's another thing. Sometimes losing your job can mean more money. Now, what do I mean by that? Often we get stuck on a career path. So we may have taken the first job out of college, been on a trajectory, and never had time to change. We might have started working at a company 12 years ago, and it's fit into our lives, and so we've stayed there, and we've lost the benefits of moving to another company where we might get a higher role or higher compensation. We've just stayed the course. So while it feels frightening in those moments after the layoff and that last day of work and when you're turning all your stuff in, sometimes it's a great opportunity to actually build your worth. And sometimes that means by your compensation. So I had a client recently. She had been working in entertainment for 25 years. She'd been at the same ad media branch of one of the big entertainment companies for 15 years. And she kind of always just dug in and done what had been asked of her. And she would get their raises. And that was like 4 to 10% a year. And she got that. And lo and behold, she was completely underpaid after 15 years of that. And she also hadn't really grown to the next level or title in the same way she might have had she gone elsewhere. So after 15 years, it felt like a big blow to be let go. It felt really, stressful. But when we dug in and realized she liked what she did, she just needed to do it elsewhere at this point, and she started to target companies she wanted to work for, Lo and behold, after 4 months of serious day-to-day job searching with that clear notion of where she wanted to go in mind, she was able to land a role at another entertainment company in that ad marketing and digital marketing space. And she got not only a higher salary, but also was pushed up to the director and executive level. So it's easy to stay put. It's hard to challenge yourself sometimes, especially when you have other things going on in your life. And so sometimes we stay in the same company, in the same role, and that doesn't always serve our career trajectory in the way that we would want it to. And so sometimes we're leaving money on the table. I had another client who recently, he left a company after 14 years and was grossly underpaid. And it took him a really long time to find another role, but he did. And once he did, he was making $30,000 more than at his last gig. That's a lot of money he'd left on the table over the years. And so being laid off was also excruciating to him. It was also stressful. He felt like he'd let his family down. But he was able to push through that and find a better situation for himself, find really the next step in a career that he'd spent so much time nurturing. And afterwards, after all that stress melted away and after he was able to focus, find clarity on what he wanted to do and move forward, get that job, then he was actually $30,000 a year richer than he was before that layoff or before his job was actually eliminated. So it's mindset, right? And that's not surprising. Often we have adversity in our lives. Change happens. We're in the middle of a restless time in the world and with perhaps an impending recession on the horizon. And it's all how we show up, because a lot of things are out of our control. We can't control what the economy does. We can't control whether or not our team is being eliminated. But what we can really control is how we show up and whether or not we stay focused and also flip the coin. How does it look on the other side? Can we find something positive to hold on to and to use as our North Star so we keep moving forward, so that we don't stop, so that we keep gaining understanding and capacity? And that's why losing your job sometimes can be a good thing. It gives you the time and space to find your next best move and not leave money on the table and reset and recharge and go after that next role or that starting a business or higher education with more energy and clarity than ever. I hope you really enjoyed this short video about why your job loss is not the worst thing ever. If you did enjoy it, please subscribe to our channel, leave comments. We'd love to respond to them, or also put out more content like this. We love to hear from you. Thanks so much and take care.